Recording started.
Okay, so now I am recorded, or recording. So basically we're on lesson 3 right now. Let me share my screen real quick, okay, first off. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see here. So this should look familiar. This is your course. As you can see, I put all of the live recordings up here, and then hopefully you can see this as well, just the calendar following along what needs to be done. So as you can see, all the quizzes in 1.01, 2, 3 should be done. 2.05, 2.4, 2.05, 3.06, 3.07. And then this week there's quite a few in lesson 4, but luckily there's only one in lesson 5. Okay, so as you probably noticed, I put in zeros on Monday, so today I put in zeros for these quizzes right here. Don't fret if you didn't get it done. You always have a chance to make it up. I don't want you to not do it just because you think you can't do it. Okay, so you got the content right here. Real quick, just a little overview. If you go to Unit 1, Lesson 1, so we should be done with all of basically Lesson 1 now. And now we're starting on Unit 2. And so we're going to do Unit 2, Lesson 4, and 5 is what we're going to be focusing on today. So we're going to talk about taxes, and we're going to talk about living cost, that kind of stuff, okay? So let me stop sharing here. So as I said before, this is what you should have done right now. You should have all of those quizzes, so it looks like there's, what, 7 of them? And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 quizzes that you had to do this week. But you should be in that mode of being able to watch the video, take the quiz. If you don't do well on the quiz, just retake it again. Okay? Alright, I got a little assignment for you guys real quick, okay? So I'm going to get this link for you. Find it here now. It threw me off my computer trying to update here. Okay, I'm going to put this in the chat. But this basically talks about the living expenses. The living expenses for living in Utah. And I'm actually going to share my screen so I can go through it with you as well. So I just put that in the chat there. So if you jump to a browser real quick and go to that website, I want you to look up basically what it would cost if you moved from one city to another. Okay? So, and I want you to be a little extravagant here, okay? So let's say we are moving from Salt Lake City, okay? And let's say we're moving to, everybody likes Hawaii, right? Honolulu? Everybody good to go take a trip to Honolulu here? Okay. And then you don't have to put in a job title or annual salary. But I just want you to see how much more it costs to live some other place than it is here, okay? And some people are the reverse. So think of a place. Okay, so if we were to go from Salt Lake City to Honolulu, it's 46% higher that it costs. So your overall, your groceries are going to be 52.5% higher. Your housing would be 48% higher. Your utilities would be crazy expensive. Transportation is going to be more, and healthcare is going to be more. Okay, and you can kind of see like a cost of living in Honolulu. So before you like sell all your things and move to Hawaii, or move someplace, you might want to look at this, okay? So if you look at it, actually, Knoxville, Tennessee is like 44% less. Phoenix, Arizona is 35% less than Honolulu. If you can see, New York is very expensive to live in, okay? So that's something you want to think about when we're thinking about cost of living, where you want to live. I know everybody wants to live in these really cool places like Hawaii or New York, but it's very, very expensive to live in those places, okay? So that's something to do. Just run a calculator sometime, move from an area that's by you. You might have to do Salt Lake or one of the bigger places that's the biggest city by you, and move to a different place and kind of see how much it is, right? So that's kind of a fun little thing to do to see where you're kind of at. Okay. All right, so has anybody done that yet? Does anybody want to share what they got and where they wanted to move to? I want to hear where they wanted to move to. Somewhere exciting. I like to go to Florida. I love to live in Florida. I think that'd be fun. Where else would you guys want to live? Put it in that calculator real quick. Let me know. I told you I loved living in Hawaii, but it's gonna be expensive if I move to Hawaii. I better make like 10 times as much as I already make right now. Anybody do it? Okay, it's loading still? Okay, alright. Well, this is what I'll do. So, oh, it's loading for you guys as well? Man, maybe we're overburdening the website. Who knows? Okay, but I just thought that was kind of cool just to kind of see what it would take to move from one place to another. Oh, everybody's loading. Okay. Alright, well, try it later. That'll be good. Okay, I did want to mention real quick, prom is coming up. If you want to go to prom, you can do it. It is May 3rd, 7 to 10, okay? So if you're going, you need to RSVP. That means you need to fill out this and tell them that you're coming, and I think if you bring somebody, I haven't really looked at the form. So, and if you want pictures, you need to verify that as well. Okay, so let's talk about career impact on income, okay? So we're going to talk a little bit about how does your career choose affect your income, what employee characteristics are important to an employer, how does education and training affect your salary or your income, and what is an entrepreneur, okay? So that's the first thing we're going to go over. So basically, there's this phrase called earning power, okay? So generally, people with higher education have more skills and they earn more money because they have those higher skills, okay? If you don't have some of the skills, you're not going to make as much money. Now, everybody says, well, you know, my dad didn't go to college or something like that and he makes a lot of money. And that's great, right? He must have some skill that is very important that society wants, and so they're able to make that money, okay? So it depends on where you live too. Yeah, it also depends on the market where you live, because some skills are not important in some markets, right? So let's say if I was a lumberjack and I lived in I lived in Arizona, right? That doesn't work, right? So it does depend on that. They don't need a lot of lumberjacks in Arizona, okay? So you got to think about that as you're going there. So here are some statistics, okay? So some people say, how do we find out what society wants? Very good question, okay? So what you need to do is you kind of need to look at your environment and kind of look at the economy is what they call it. So that's what I'm calling, like the environment. So around you, okay? So you think about what people buy, right? What are people buying right now? So a lot of people that are making a lot of money right now are in the tech industry, right? Because you have technology in our devices, our phones, that's exploding, okay? So if you want to go into some like technology field and know a lot about that, you're probably going to do pretty well, okay? Some other things that are trending, healthcare is very, very big, especially with all what they call the baby boom generation coming in. So if you're looking in the healthcare field, uh, let's see here, daycare is another big one, right? As salaries go up and it costs a lot more to live, like in Utah, those that have not worked before, maybe like stay-at-home moms or something, maybe have to find a job and work, and so they need a place to bring their kids. So daycare is pretty big. Orthodontics, yep. So there's a lot of orthodontists out there, but I think that's kind of that. Yeah, food's I think a high one. But you got to say what type in the food industry, right? Some people don't make a lot of money in the food industry, and it just kind of depends on where you're at in the food industry. So, very good thoughts here. Any other thoughts? You think that? And that was a very good question, deep question. How do you find out what society wants? Okay. Construction's huge as well. Okay, if you're looking in a construction field, but you want to get certain skills so you can make a higher wage, right? So a brick masonry is going to make more than somebody that is maybe like a framer or something like that. So somebody said, but why is Utah the lowest paying state and low wages? It depends on the industry, as you're thinking about there, right? Because some people make an awful lot of money in Utah, but if you're talking about like possibly teacher salary, like I'm gonna make a lot lower than, let's say, a computer analyst. So there's some computer analysts that make really good money out there. I know my friend, his rate's about like $60 an hour, which is pretty good, Somebody said you find out how much they're willing to pay. Okay, yep. A lot of tech places are coming to Utah. Yeah, if you look at Utah County, they seem to be kind of the mecca of the new tech industry, and that's why housing prices are so much. 60 an hour is a dream. Yeah, he's in the tech industry actually, and so he's a coder and developer there. So that I heard on the radio, Washington County is the highest percentage of graduates this year at 90%. Oh, very good. Yeah, I mean that may be true. I haven't seen that statistic, but yeah, let's talk about education real quick since you brought it up. So if you look at high school dropouts, now this is coming from I think at 2005, so it's kind of old, but the same thing stems. If you're a high school dropout and get a degree, you're only going to make about $19,000 a year. Probably a little bit higher now, but not too much. A high school diploma, you're going to make about $29,000 a year. So a lot better if you get that high school diploma. That's why we're trying to push you here to get your diploma, okay? Yeah, you got to graduate. Yep. I mean, see that's a huge jump, right? It's like a $10,000 jump, okay? But if you start to do some college, okay, get like a 2-year associate's degree, you're going to make even more, okay, almost $10,000 more. And then you're going to make almost $15,000 more if you get a 4-year college degree, okay? And then if you get like a postgraduate degree, you're up even more, another like 15 plus thousand, okay? So you see why if you go to school and you're dedicated and find those specific skills, you're going to make a lot more money in the long run. And then your quality of life is going to be a lot better as well. Okay, yeah, but then you have to pay the loans bank back. Yeah, but there's different ways you can get schooling, okay? So for example, I'll just give you a couple examples. You have what's called Pell Grants, and we're going to be going over this in this class too. Pell Grants are, if possibly you don't have a lot of money right now, they will give you money to go to college. You also have student loans that you can do. There's a lot of scholarships out there. Even if you don't think you can qualify for a scholarship, I would look at a lot of the scholarships that are going on out there. Then there is, let's see here. There's also programs like, so one of the ones I'm familiar with is called the Pathways program, and that's set up by, I think, like BYU Idaho. It's kind of a cool program where you can actually it's like $35 a credit or something like that, which is super cheap. And you can you can get like your bachelor's degree. It's really, really cheap. Yeah, so some other people put on here, trade schools are good, vocational training, and just kind of all of that. But honestly, your education is going to cost a lot. But if you're making, from a high school diploma to a 4-year degree, you're going to make that money up in the long run. So you got to think of it as an investment kind of moving forward. Okay, so if you think about this real quick, and I can do some math here, it says Jill has a new job at a car wash and makes $7.20 an hour. She works 42 hours this week and makes time and a half for the hours over 40. What are her withholdings? I think I just want to see how much like she's going to make. Okay, so $7.20 an hour, is that very much? Can you tell me that first off? $7.20. No, not at all. Okay, and so if you worked 40 hours a week and you worked basically 40 hours a week, you're going to bring in about $1,300. Okay, that you're going to bring in. Okay, most people's house payments or even rent these days is around $1,000 to $1,500. Okay, so hopefully Jill is living with parents right now because she is not going to be making a lot of money, right? So you could probably get a job at a car wash without having a degree. Okay, but you think about my friend real quick that I said makes $60 an hour. Okay, so if he made $60 an hour, we times that by 40 hours a week times the four weeks. So he's going to be making about $10,800 a month. Okay, now you can really think about being able to afford a car, insurance, house payment, all that kind of stuff. Okay, so there's a big difference, right, when it comes to getting a college degree and that. Okay, so some things you're going to need to know moving forward. Has anybody ever had a job interview? You guys had a job interview out there? Or have a job? Does anybody have a job right now? So somebody said yes. Okay. Do you have a job now? Okay, if you have a job, what do you do? Tell me what you do right now. What kind of jobs do you have? Nobody wants to put down what they do for a job? Okay, so you babysit. Very good. House cleaning. Okay. Very good. Courtesy check at Smith's. Oh, very good. Yeah, sometimes we gotta quit because of school. Oh, you work at the Megaplex? That'd be a cool job. Do you get to, did they get a discount to go into movies? That is good. Can sneak me in, get me some free popcorn. I wonder if you do you get to see free movies? That'd be fun. I think that'd be a fun job right now. Right? There's a lot of cool. Very good, man. I wish I could do that. I'm getting a vet tech right now. Okay. So people and some jobs require more things, right? If you work at the Megaplex and you work in the concessions, don't you have to have a food handler's permit, I'm assuming? Right? So somebody's talking about work with a vet and getting a vet tech license. So some of things are going to require training there. So, and when you get interviewed, they're going to ask you questions like, tell me about yourself. Tell me about your education. What skills do you have? And you have to tell about these skills and what you've done and what you can do. Okay? So it's something to really, you're always going to have some type of skill or education that you need to develop in order to get this. Okay? All right, so somebody said, how do you know what people want? So somebody that's called an entrepreneur, okay, is somebody that basically starts their own business. They're self-employed. They're their own boss. They're willing to take risks, but they find a little niche, okay? that people want, okay? And they say, I'm going to create this, or I can do this, perform this task, and then they go out and do it, okay? And they're be able to be an entrepreneur, right? And be able to start something, find their skill, they find about themselves and find their skill, and be able to make a living out of it. And hopefully they like it, right? As I said before, I've run some businesses on the side, and so I like this because I like to be able to be my own boss, be able to do some things like that. So once you learn more about yourself and what you want to do, that's really a good thing to look at there. Okay, we're going to talk real quick. We already talked about this a little bit, so we may fly through it. But the value of education, okay? We already went over this this diagram right here, that you're going to make a lot more money, okay, if you get the higher education you get, okay? I don't think we need to go over that anymore. Here's another graph that I really like. So uneducated equals unemployed. So if you see here, you have your weekly minimum incomes. So that is in 2009. So if you have a doctorate or professional degree, you're going to make about $1,500 a week. Okay, so this is weekly. And then it's comparing it to the overall percentage of people who are unemployed, which means do not have a job. Okay, so less than a high school diploma, 14.6% of those that do not get the high school diploma are not going to be employed. They have very high like that. If you have a high school diploma, still you're around 9.7%. Now in 2009, the economy was kind of bad at that point in time, so these numbers may be a little bit less, but still they're fairly accurate. Okay, if you have some college, you've developed some skills, and you have that. If you have an associate's, a bachelor's, a master's, a professional or doctorate degree, so you can see you're most likely going to be able to find a job and find a well-paying job the more education you have. I know, which is kind of hard for some people because some people just don't like school that much, right? But if you find a skill that you like, even if it's, working on cars or whatever, make that and find what society wants, right? And give it to them, right? And then you'll be able to do what you want. Okay, so here is a little thing you guys can break down to be able to see what things are, okay? What I'm going to do, I don't know if I can actually put a picture in the chat. I've never done that before. Let me see if I can do that real quick. If you want extra credit, I'm going to give you an option for extra credit here. Nope, it's not going to let me do it. I was going to say, if you want to do this diagram and just turn in this for me, so A, B, C, D. Actually, you can just pick one that you want to do, okay? Or I guess that is A, B, C, D. Okay, E. So if you wanted to fill out this diagram for me and email it to me, so you'll email it at zhancock, I'm putting it in the chat right now, at utahvirtual.org, okay? I don't think I spelled that right. Maybe I did. Anyways, if you do fill out this graph, and I'll open up the slides at the very end so you can go back and write it down, or you can look at the recording here. I'll give you extra credit, okay? So and that will just kind of show you how important it is to get education, even though it may take more time to get education. You're going to make a lot more in your lifetime earnings, as you'll see in the thing. Okay? The last thing I'm going to talk about today is wonderful taxes. Okay, yesterday, what was yesterday? Does anybody know what yesterday was? It's kind of an important day, somewhat, if you made money. Tax day, awesome. I had my little son, who actually turned 4 years old. He was born on tax day. Oh, tax day is not fun for some people. So some people, they get money back in their tax refunds, but some people have to pay money. Really, you want to kind of make it out so you don't have to pay any and you don't owe any either. But there are taxes. So why do we have taxes, first off? Can anybody tell me why we have taxes? Why do we have taxes? And I kind of cut this section down a lot because I was trying to get ready for class because of my wonderful update that wanted to take place. Why do we have taxes? What do taxes do? I know some people really just like, I hate taxes. Why do we have taxes? Okay, to pay for our schools, okay, for Medicare. So, yep, so you have Medicaid and Medicare. Medicare is for the elderly or disabled, and Medicaid is for those that cannot afford things, okay? To pay the government, okay. So to kind of pay the government, but the government turns around and puts it into interest for all, like roads, right? Roads are paid by taxes. Somebody mentioned schools, other programs like that. So for like the common good of all, okay, is why we have taxes. So to make the roads and make government programs run. Yep, very good. Okay. So there's two things. There's something called gross income, and there's something called net income. Okay. So gross income is basically all the money that you make altogether. So you could be making, you know, like $10 an hour, but after everything is taken out, your taxes are taken out, that's going to be your net. So you may make $10 an hour, but you actually really only make like $8.50 an hour, because $1.50 goes towards taxes. Okay, so this is kind of the equation here. Okay, so gross income minus your deductions or the taxes that are taking out. Sometimes employers can take out healthcare costs, that kind of stuff, before they give you your net income, and that's to help with taxes. Oh, and actually that's all I put on there. Sorry, I was in a rush to kind of get there. But so these deductions that we have, right, are taken directly, if you're an employee, directly out of your paycheck, and you need to pay those taxes. So Social Security, federal and state taxes, all that kind of stuff. FICA, yep. FICA is more of a business tax for businesses, or if you're self-employed. Okay. So somebody say, can I ask a quick question? Yes, I'd love to have a quick question. So to me, taxes aren't very fun. So you're asking that question all day. Oh, what happens if you don't file taxes? Very good. Okay. So if you did not make any money, you do not need to file taxes. Okay. Or if you make under a certain amount of money, you don't need to file taxes. And you can actually file taxes after April 15th if you were going to receive a refund. Okay. So the biggest problem is when people owe taxes and then they don't pay what they are by April 15th. Then they owe penalties. Okay. So somebody said tax evasion. Yep. So some people, yeah. So or you file an extension. Yeah, you can file an extension on there if you really need it. So the thing about tax evasion, so you have what's called your income tax, okay? And so that's from what we're talking about right now. But you pay tax on everything. So if you go down to, let's say, Burger King and you buy a Whopper, there's tax on that, okay? So you are going to be paying taxes. So there's taxes for their sales tax when you buy something. There is there's income tax. There is all kinds of taxes that they use to, I guess, revenue to fund the government and help it run. Okay, but the government making everything stable. Oh, another thing that it pays for is like police officers, firefighters, that kind of stuff too. Those public safety officers. People that inspect your food, make sure that people aren't selling, nasty stuff. So all of that kind of goes into taxes. So taxes they're good, and it's for the welfare of all, but at the same time, I understand why people don't like to pay them so much. Very good question. I do like that. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to stop the recording real quick, but feel free to answer any other questions, and I do have some private messages I'll get to in just a second. So if you're done, well, let me go back to this page real quick. So if you want to do the extra credit, you can do it there, and just email those questions to me, and I'll give you extra credit. All right. Well, I'm going to